Every day, at least 800 women die from preventable causes during childbirth. Reports indicate that in Africa, the numbers could be higher, as at least 2,000 women die daily from childbirth or from pregnancy-related complications. These aren't just statistics. They are beautiful wives and mothers from beautiful homes. They are sisters, friends, and all. They represent unfinished dreams and visions that got snatched in just a blink of an eye. That is why on Reflections this week we are discussing safe delivery matters. Tonight we raise a candle for all of our sisters who said goodbye with all of the unfinished dreams and hopes, and we hope that they are smiling down on us tonight as we have this conversation, which is aimed at saving the lives of the sisters that they left behind. Hello and welcome to yet another beautiful episode of Reflections with your humble host Cynthia Otuwaribo. If this is your first time of coming to this page, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on the notification button so that whenever we drop a fresh video, you will be the first to see it. I have in the studio with me today a very vibrant young man. He is a medical doctor and the head of clinical service at Angel and Eagles Specialist Hospital at Abeokuta. If you ask him, he will describe himself as someone who is passionate for teaching and global enlightenment. Hello, Dr. Adekunle.
Nice to see you.
It's really nice to have you in the studio today. You look really sharp.
And you too. I want to be necklace.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, so today we are discussing safe delivery matters, right? Pregnancies are supposed to be beautiful journeys,
Exactly.
Which are expected to lead to happy endings, happy and joyful endings, where you have your bundle of joy, and all of that. However, why do so many women die giving birth?
Well, quite many reasons, and I will qualify it majorly as ignorance. Ignorance, because on the side of the world that we have here in Africa, it is quite very alarming that even at this stage of our academic education and everything, we still have majority of women quite ignorant about many things. Because what many women seem to know are what their mothers pass across to them, what someone from the community pass across to them. So you see people even with degrees, PhD and co, still holding on to beliefs that were passed to them by one late grandmother somewhere, one midwife somewhere in their environment. So I'll majorly put it as ignorance. That's what I'm going to say.
What do we do about this ignorance? Yes, we have this platform where we're already talking, for the sake of enlightenment. But beyond that, from your field of experience, what are those information that should be made available to women, for the sake of their lives?
All right.
Because, they pass through these journeys. The goal, the expectation is for them to come out alive and with their children.
Yeah.
But sometimes they end in the labor room. At other times, they come out, the children come out, they don't come out. It's tragic either ways, whether they come out and the kids don't. We talk about maternal mortality and all of that. What are those information that these women should have to save their lives?
All right. The first thing I would like to mention is the fact that when women get pregnant, the first thing they need to do is to register at a standard and well-qualified hospital. Emphasis
on standard.
Yeah. My reason for the standard is because our health system in the country is quite in disarray at the moment. And that's because of, we can blame it on many factors, economic factors, people having hospitals whereby they make use of even nurses as their, male nurses as their doctors. Places whereby, they don't even have equipment, You can imagine sometimes people are going for delivery, there is no oxygen in the hospital. Will be able to enter distress, not to resuscitate the child. So at such situations, when things happen, everyone is running scatter. It's as if there's no plan. So the first thing I would like to mention is registering in a standard with well-qualified personnel, not places whereby you have chills I mean community health workers as the nurses. You get it? So
we have those kind of situations.
Yeah, a lot in our primary health centers where you see choose, even they're the one that administer drugs, even do abortion for people and all those kind of stuff. So
wow.
So the first thing I will mention is don't joke with your health. Don't be like, you choose just to give birth. You know, people have this kind of misconception that many years ago people just give birth naturally. There was no doctor, there was no nurse. But one thing they're also not considering is the fact that yeah, they had a lot of safe deliveries then, but they also had a lot of traumatic deliveries then
that are unrecorded.
Unrecorded. You know, they just that most of the time they attribute it to spiritual stuff, that maybe one child is an ogbanje, one child is this, one child is that. So you know, most time we are just focusing on the positive records. We are not talking of the negative findings. So the first thing I will mention is to be registered in a standard hospital. Another thing is that which is what we are doing in this section now. There are certain informations that every pregnant woman must have at their beck and call. First is the antenatal.
Okay.
They should go through a standard antenatal. Now, for instance, we have a normal routine for antenatal. We say that when a woman is pregnant, she's meant to register to book for the antenatal at the first trimester. Many women here in Africa come by third trimester.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, we've seen women that are just coming to the hospital for the first time in labor.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen that. At the first time, you ask them, have you seen a doctor before? No. Have you done this test before? You say no. So you say it's that bad. So the first thing is they register for antenatal at their first trimester, which is very, very important. Another thing is that they should have quality investigations. For instance, there's something we call an anomaly scan, but it's not very, very common here. It's meant to be done at the 18th week of pregnancy, but most people don't even do it. So most times, some people are just seeing their baby being malformed just when they are delivering the baby. They don't even know about it before. So there should be good investigations, the lab test, the scan. It should be done at the right time. What should be done at the first month should be done at the first month. What should be done at the second trimester should be done then. So when there are enough testing, accurate testing with a good standard hospital, we can actually prevent many of those things. When you are in the hand of a safe personnel and you also adhere to the normal antenatal routine, you are good.
Now you've mentioned quite a lot of factors,
okay,
and I'm beginning to see that illiteracy and poverty is also part of our problem.
Very true.
Because you can't tell a woman in the remote areas of Nigeria to go and register for antenatal.
Wow.
First, she does not believe that it will help her in any way.
Exactly.
And then those who have the knowledge of it, they will tell you there is no money. So we will get to that. Now, a woman is pregnant. What are the delivery options? Because some persons just like you said, she is just to go and born now. What they there? To just push picking. But when complications arise, there is no one way to having your baby. Yeah. What are the delivery options that are available to women?
Okay.
And what do they need to know about these options?
Okay, I will mention the major ones.
Okay.
We have what we call the spontaneous vaginal delivery. That's what everybody knows about. You just go in there, you give birth. Spontaneous means you do it on your own. So we have the spontaneous vaginal delivery. But however, under the vaginal delivery, we still have something we call the instrumental vaginal delivery. Now, under that, you have things like forceps, like vacuum delivery. That is indicated in certain cases. Now, also under this vaginal delivery, we have something we call epidural. So this is where women are anesthetized. They still give birth normally themselves, but they don't feel the pain. In fact, they can be pressing phone while they are in labor. Yeah, they can be pressing phone while in labor. They don't feel the pain because you know what most women are scared of most of the time is the labor pain. It's the labor pain. So we have epidural, and I think most people are not really sensitized about it in this part of the world.
What if I tell you I'm hearing about that for the first time?
You can give birth and you don't feel the pain at all. Just normal delivery, and in fact, you can be watching movie until your baby comes out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that easy. So you just go in there, once you're in labor, they anesthetize you, and then you're there until your baby comes out. So the other common one that we know, which many people don't want to hear about, is the cesarean section. Cesarean section. So that is also one of the most common one, though it has indication. I feel we'll get it later in the section. So the cesarean section. But what I say in this part of the world is that most people don't want to hear it at all. maybe because of our cultural mindset. I believe we'll get there later. So we have cesarean section. Those are the two major. Either have a vaginal delivery, I've itemized the subclasses, or a cesarean section.
Okay, now let's talk about the cesarean section.
Okay.
What are the indications that you have for a woman to have to go through a cesarean section? Because yes, just like you said, so many persons don't want to hear about it. But sometimes it is necessary.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes some people just feel like, I don't want to go through all of that pain. But well, today we have been told that you don't need to go through the pain to prove anything, right? Because thanks to epidural, right? So when a woman is let's just say she's in that phase, right? So what are the indications that we want to make you suggest that a woman should have a cesarean section?
Okay. Medically, we have, when pregnancy is going on, we are dealing with two people, the mother and the child. So we have something we call maternal factors, which is attributing to the mother. We have something we call fetal factors, attributing to the baby now in the womb. So when we talk of the maternal factors, we are talking of things from the mother's side that can predispose or make us make a decision on a cesarean section.
Wow.
Now, but before I mention that, I would like to mention something. There are two forms of cesarean section actually. There's something we call elective and something we call emergency. Now, the elective cesarean section is a cesarean section that the decision was made during the pregnancy before the onset of labor. So that means for that it was planned. That means the decision must have been made between the mother and the physician that woman, you have to go through cesarean section. So the decision is made before the onset of labor. But however, we now have something we call emergency, because like we said at the beginning of the section, we always expect the delivery to go on normal. Certain times some factors can come in during labor that can make us switch from vagina back to cesarean section. So talking about the maternal factor, like I said earlier, one of the major factors in mothers is something we call contracted pelvis. And I'm going to explain that. Now, that has to do with many factors medically, in the sense that that's why you notice that most times when people come for antenatal and we see short women, I mean women that are very, very short.
Women like me?
No.
no. Down to earth.
Well, standardly we use the height of 1.5 meter and below. So when a woman is 1.5 meter and below, we want to suggest CS for the woman because of contracted pelvis. Short women, most of the time, their pelvis is not very accommodating for the passage of the baby. So most time they have the situation of obstructed labor. The baby can just hang in there. The whole process is like as if something is coming out through something. So if the passageway is not accommodating enough, it can just hook up. So we have the concept of contracted pelvis. So when a gynecologist sees a woman and then they do the pelvimetry, we call it pelvimetry, they measure some things and everything like that, and they tell you that it's better you do a CS, just go for it. Because what that will predispose to is something we call cephalopelvic disproportion. I'm going to explain it. It means that the head and the pelvis are not proportionate. So for women that have contracted pelvis, the head of the baby can't pass through that canal, so there's going to be a mechanical obstruction. Now, another maternal factor we have that is very common on this side of the world is something we call preeclampsia, severe preeclampsia. Now, preeclampsia is a situation whereby a woman is having elevated high blood pressure for the first time in pregnancy. For the first time in pregnancy, and most times it occurs after 20 weeks of the pregnancy. Plus something we call significant proteinuria. That means protein in the urine. So there's something pregnant women do, so that they call it urinalysis. They check for the protein, they check for sugar, they check for a lot of things. So once the woman is having a protein more than 2+, we call it 2+, that is a significant proteinuria. So when a woman has a severe form of that preeclampsia, we suggest for them to go for cesarean section. Another indication is if the woman has had 2 previous cesarean section. Now this is something I would like to shout out. If a woman has had 2 previous cesarean section, there's no point anybody canceling you that maybe you should try to give birth through vagina again.
I want you to emphasize that for the sake of those who are trying. I remember when I was about to have my first baby. I had a previous surgery before that time, and the doctor suggested a CS for me. And then I go home. I told my husband, I would have loved to push you. You know how pride that comes with, I pushed my baby out. Exactly. I wanted to experience it. And then he looked at me and he said, so you don't like your life again? There are so many women, they just want to experience it. Because there's this cultural thing. If you have not pushed, then something is wrong somewhere.
Well, I would like to emphasize this.
Okay.
Doing a cesarean section does not make you less of a mother. It doesn't make you less of a mother.
That's why we're having this conversation, because these are some of the misconceptions that need to be debunked. And it is what has led to a lot of wasted lives.
Exactly.
Because the doctor says, do this. And you say, no. Just to prove a point. I've said that, I've made that statement like twice already on this show, on this episode. The desire to prove that point that, okay, I'm woman enough to do this. And then there's this thing that also comes to, I've also noticed the spiritual aspect, you know. The doctor has given the advice, and then you say, in the name of whatever you believe in, it is not my portion. I do not believe the doctor's report. And we know how it ends in most cases. I'm sure you have experienced that in your line of work. Could you please just enlighten us more on that?
Okay. All right, so I'd like to mention about the faith people. You know, people come with this thing that, yeah, my God is a living God. Our God is a living God. But however, I would like people to know that you don't learn to make an exception a theory. Yeah, people can come with the fact that they heard of one woman that has done 2 CS before, and she attempted to give birth on her own, and she went scot-free. Now, what they don't tell you are the people that tried it and died on the table. That's what they don't tell you. Yeah, some people could have done it and they went scot-free, but you don't make a theory from an exception. So, you know, what the mistake we make sometimes is the fact that we are trying to make a theory from the fact that I heard that one woman did it and she went scot-free. It is not ideal. The risk of trying a vaginal delivery after 2 CS is the fact that, you know, anytime you do a cesarean section, a wound is being made on the womb and it is sutured back. Then they try the second one, they make the same wound on it, it is sutured back. When you try to give birth on your own at the third pregnancy, what I've forgotten is the fact that that same womb is trying to contract to bring the baby out. Now that force, that womb can no longer handle it anymore. What can happen is that the point of suture can just break open and you have a uterine rupture. And I won't lie to you, at this part of the world, there are few hospitals, and I repeat, few hospitals that can handle uterine rupture and it will lead to death. The reason is because anytime there's a uterine rupture, the blood supply to the womb is quite very much. So within 10 to 15 minutes, a woman can bleed to death from uterine rupture. And in this part of the world, most time, before they can even take a woman for an emergency CS or whatever we call it, it takes about 1 hour. They have to go and transfuse blood, go and get this one done. By the time they are trying to get all that, the woman is gone. So I would advise, please, to anyone viewing this section, do not try it. After 2 CS, there's no point. Don't risk your life. Just out of it. You don't have to prove an ego and then you lose your life. It's ego. It's just simple ego. That's why I say it. It's just simple ego. Because I feel if you want to claim you are more of a mother by not wanting to do CS, you'll be more of a mother by thinking more of your child and your life. Because if you die, the child is motherless. If you try the vaginal delivery and it becomes traumatic, the child has issues. So if you are really a mother, then you do what is best for both you and the child. So I just feel it is ego, just cultural ego. Let me just use this analogy. When you are in a car, when you enter a taxi, for instance, here in Nigeria, you trust the driver of the car with your life. You don't even care whether the man has smoked most of the time, whether the man is drunk most of the time. Why is it that when it comes to your health, you don't trust the doctor? You go for a flight, you've never seen a pilot before. In fact, you don't even get to see him most of the time.
Yeah.
You trust him with your life. Then when it comes to your health that can kill you this moment, you are now guessworking. And that shows how much we have poor health habits in Africa. It's one of the reasons why most people don't go to the hospital until they're almost dying out. And I want to like to tell people this. You know, people prefer to spend more money on food than even their health. In quotes. And the reason is because most of the claim it is money. Sometimes I don't think it's even money, because The same person that refused to come for a consultation of 2,000 naira in the hospital, you see them at a restaurant buying a food of 8,000 naira. You see them going for a party and they buy a list of 60,000 naira. But they have forgotten that they have just one single body
and one life.
And one life.
And I will just add it that nobody else will take care of your child like you.
Exactly.
And except it is an exception, you know, maybe it's just God's calling that your time is up. You shouldn't use your own hand and kill yourself when you have the chance to stay for yourself, your family, and your children. Okay, so doctor,
right now,
at the end of the day, we can all agree that safe delivery matters more than any other thing. Your last words to a sister out there that is watching us and is not convinced that they should take the route that the professionals must have advised, what would you say to make them be convinced? Not how you're doing a debate and you say, I'm here to convince you and not confuse you, clinical. Just one thing that you need to say to convince them that their lives matter and safe delivery matters more than anything else.
Okay, you know, I once had a meeting some years ago. I told them, I said, you must be careful of the truth that you argue with. Because when you argue with a truth that should save your life, it does not change it from being the truth. So when a professional tells you this is the best way for you, you arguing with that truth does not deny the consequence of that truth. So I would advise any sister, any lady out there, be careful of the truth you argue with. As a professional, except you are dealing with a quack, no one gains anything from you going for CS. I don't get anything. It doesn't add to my badge. It doesn't make me a better doctor. What makes me a better doctor is that I achieve your safety and that of your baby. And I want you to also note that no matter what anybody is saying, whether you are alive or you are dead, they keep talking. Thank you.
All right, he said thank you. That is like drops mic. So that is all we have for you on Reflections this week. And we would like to encourage every sister, every auntie, every mother who is watching this, please remember that your life matters more than anything else. Send this message to your husbands, to your brothers who are husbands, or somebody's babe. Somebody needs to hear this information. And to all of the men who are watching this episode, you have a woman in your life, could be your classmate, or some girl down the street, you have women in your family. Pass this information to them. Their lives matter and they must do everything possible to stay alive. Until I come your way again next week, don't forget to subscribe and tell your neighbors to tell their neighbors that Reflections is in town. Bye-bye.